Candace's cheese hasn't slid off her cracker. At least not yet. She's not crazy. She's right. Sort of. Now, it is possible that some of you simply lack the knowledge and spiritual discernment to actually know what she's pointing out here. And just because I'm defending her in this video does not mean that I co-sign everything that Candace has ever said or that I agree with 100% of the takes that she's ever had, okay? Or even her own belief system. But when it comes to this particular issue, I think she's correct on some of it. You know, I never thought I'd actually see the day where somebody like Jimmy Dore would be defending Candace Owens, but here we are.
I think it is a circumstance where we just know. We just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump.
That's a big one. She didn't say lose faith. She said fully lose faith in Donald Trump. And it's based on the feeling she has. And that's the same feeling anyone who isn't brain dead or who doesn't get $7,000 per Twitter post from feels, okay? It's a feeling you should have after Trump just bailed out Argentina to protect the investments of George Soros. Just don't shame other people for not believing that. That's all. It's their right to not believe it. It doesn't make them a bad person.
Yes,
to question the establishment narrative about a public assassination. In fact, it's incumbent upon us to do so.
And yes, her ideas can seem a little kooky at face value, nutty, bonkers, wacky, loony, take your pick. But have you actually researched any of the things that she's referring to? Even a tiny portion of it? Just even a little. And all of these creators putting out videos titled like, Candace claims that our president had something to do with Charlie Kirk's demise. You guys don't have a leg to stand on as far as I'm concerned. You have zero credibility. They just want so badly for her to be the villain only because she's not MAGA. You know it, and I know it. We know that that's why.
And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And they just were like, nope, that is it. He serves us or doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean?
Who gave Charlie Kirk the holiday? Donald Trump. That's interesting. You're losing faith in Trump. Trump gives Charlie Kirk the holiday, and you just said, what is up with them giving somebody a holiday after they kill them?
Now, apparently, it is being claimed that Donald Trump took the life of his good friend and somebody he viewed like a son, the man who helped him get elected. I am now supposed to believe that Donald Trump is responsible directly for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, whether it was his federal government below him with or in conjunction with Israel.
The federal government, the Trump administration, Charlie Kirk is the claim. Now I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, what I think about it. Because you know who else would have to be involved? And this is the implication, of course, by design. And you can see the response with people out there saying, oh, well, then anyone who's close to, this is an inside job. You know who's really close to President Trump? And you know who people are now saying stood to gain? Well, Charlie's wife, Erica Kirk, who has now been put, Candace, with that language, with this accusation, has put the wife of Charlie Kirk, and she'll say, that's not what I tried to do. It is. It's the result. Erica Kirk in the crosshairs.
If they want to claim that she's implying that the Prez and his entire admin actually had something to do with it, that they're complicit and as a whole were responsible, I think you're being just a tad bit dishonest because you're simply attacking her for having an opinion. If she doesn't bring the receipts, that's all it is. An opinion. And it's not illegal in this country to believe what you want to believe. Yet Alex Jones still got sued over words, so there's that. A lot of us knew what Candace meant. If I'm being real, as far as Charlie is concerned and September 10th and the whole event, I don't believe the official narrative, and I don't even believe what Candace is proposing, at least not in the same respect. I spent weeks analyzing all the footage, video breakdowns, the behaviors and actions of those that were around Charlie that day. And the thing that is really sticking out most to me right now is that people are still talking about the caliber of the round, even now. And I think that's the point. I think it's all just one big distraction. What I am implying would explain why everyone was so nonchalant and giddy even. Then when our prez was asked about it again later on, he couldn't have cared less. All he could talk about was the frickin' ballroom. It gave real George W. vibes.
Must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
All I know is that deception is abound. They work hard every single day to try to deceive us, and I wouldn't put anything past them at this point. Manufacturing an event similar to that day is more than plausible, and it helps that none of the attendees can even speak about it now that the gag order has been put in place. Now look, I'm not saying that that's what happened with absolute certainty, because things in life really aren't ever truly certain, because I could be wrong, but it makes the most sense to me. We're going to look at what Asmon had to say about some of this. You know, he wants to be open-minded about 90% of his takes, except for the subjects that have to do with God. I don't think Asmon understands the perspective that Candace is presenting here, because even though he is neutral and that he doesn't claim left or right, he still hasn't been able to step back and actually look at the whole picture. Like I said, it's as if you're looking at a chessboard. The left is on the left, the right is on the right. The left is white, and the right are the black pieces. But who owns the board? So let's see what he has to say about it.
Just take a breather and really process everything that happened with Charlie and what it kind of means in terms of where we are. And I think it is a circumstance where we just know. We just know that he was truly betrayed in one of the most egregious ways that I think I've ever seen. It has made me lose faith in politics. It has made me fully lose faith in Trump. And my heart aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics. And
what's she talking about?
We're like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them?
See, and another thing is Asmon, I don't think has watched enough of her content to really understand her perspective. Of course, he just thinks that she's going off the deep end, like the cheese had done slid off her cracker. So I can understand, like, if you're not used to watching her content, then you really have no idea why she's inferring this, or at least other people seem to think that she is, as far as the administration itself. Now, I don't think she's inferring that the entire administration itself. I think she's inferring that the machine, the men behind the curtain, that it was orchestrated.
Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock it off. Like, they're going to give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely killed you. Okay, there's no question. They killed you. There's no way. That's like their signature thing. It's like, that's what they do.
She's not wrong about that.
It's the Fed signature. It's how they sign off after they murder you. So like holiday and a boulevard. And it's never on a nice side of town either. Like Charlie Kirk Boulevard is not gonna be a nice side of town. Anyways.
She is really she's really been on one, huh? Like,
because I'm telling you, I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at
on one?
Elon Musk and Sam.
Oh,
what, like she's on a bender? Oh yeah, and then she talks about how Elon. She says Elon's like a lizard, like he's a part of the lizard people, like he's a hybrid. I mean, I get what she's saying. Like Mark Zuckerberg, especially looks like a. He does. He looks like a hybrid. It's weird.
Altman and leading people into AI, I have always sensed this demonic, because I'm telling you, I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night. You know? Like my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like,
whenever she's talking about this, Asmon, of course, has no idea what she's referring to, but us as Christians, we know that AI even though, look, I use AI as a tool too, but we have to know when it's getting out of control. Like if it gets to the point where that's all we rely on and we're not relying on our own thoughts, that's the direction it's heading. The direction it's heading is that we're not going to be thinking, it's going to be thinking for us. It's called artificial intelligence for a reason. It's going to literally replace us in so many industries. God tells us that knowledge will increase. He tells us that.
I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed, I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean?
Look at his face. He cracks me up.
And I just get that sense. I've always known it was demonic. And people just get on board because, as we talk about in this book, they are using science and this idea of technology and this idea of transforming society for the better to indoctrinate us into accepting this.
Yes.
And
Yes, because they're playing God. They're playing God. They're trying to replace God. They never will. I mean, whatever happened to cloning? Remember, what was the name of the sheep? Betty the sheep? Betsy the sheep? Something like that. We have been trying to, as a society, as a whole, in this world, our scientific community especially has been trying to play God for decades.
The main component of all of this is psychology, right?
Yeah, bro, that interview with Nick Fuentes. That was the end.
Okay, so he goes on to try to say that just because Nick got snappy with her, he's suggesting that this sent her off over the edge and that she went off the deep end because of that. I don't think so. Because all he did was just basically tell her, don't lecture me. You're not my mom. You're a woman and da-da-da-da. That's what Nick does. That's the way he feels about women because he doesn't have a family. Why would I want to bring children or a wife into the world that I'm in because of the threats that I've got? I understand both perspectives, just so we're clear. I understood Candace's perspective. No, she doesn't need to be lecturing him because he's grown and he can do what he wants because she was trying to tell him that he needed to have kids and all this. But I understand Nick's perspective as well. I understood what he was trying to say, but Asmon, no, you're wrong. I don't think so. I think that Candace is a little more thick-skinned than that. I mean, I understand why it looks that way, but she has talked to and argued with people that were a lot more formidable than Nick.
It really was. That sent her over the edge. Like, I'll show y'all a clip from that, and you'll see.
They're able to do it because of psychology, making you think.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead because he starts talking about Christianity. He basically thinks that Candace is crazy just like everybody else does right now. So
that society has gotten better. Our kids have objectively gotten dumber. We've become fatter. We've become less healthy. We've become less emotionally sound. And yet they are convincing us that this is like humanity's great leap forward. We put a man on the moon, and he just like called them up and was like, "Hey, Prez, what's up? I'm up here. Yeah, it's so cool."
Is she just soft launching the fact that the moon landing is fake?
At this point, I think most people think it's fake, dude.
Like, I feel like she's just kind of throwing that one in there as like a, oh yeah, by the way type situation, isn't she?
It's really great tonight.
Yeah, but Candace has talked about it before.
Sorry, night up here. Cam and Texture, I go by in 69, and they get these people, they tell you like he's a genius. They're all writing like he's a genius, so we should just accept that Elon Musk is a genius because like all the writers who are obviously indoctrinated into the occult are telling us that this is the next person that we should worship. The establishment of Hollywood. It was all cults. They were all Aleister Crowley proteges who were just kids and summoning demons and demons.
She's right about this. You guys can make fun of her all you want, but she is correct. People are making fun of her. That's fine. People made fun of me for years. Like a few years after 9/11. Nobody ever apologizes either whenever you're proven right. That's the crazy part about all of this is, yeah, they'll make fun of you. They'll put you down. They'll insult you. They'll call you crazy. They didn't apologize to me after the beer bug either. And it's like, look, I'm not expecting an apology. All I'm saying is it would have been nice. Really, the issue with that is that far too many people still believe that it was that was spread naturally, organically, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It was purposely done, along with a perfectly safe medical procedure to take as a preventative. That was a lie. It turned out to be bull hockey, still injuring and sending people to hospitals and long, arduous, painful illness journeys. I don't know what else to call it. It's declining people's health rapidly and sending people to an early grave. So yes, they don't seem to understand or grasp the fact that the largest transfer of wealth during the beer bug happened during that time, putting our families into generational debt so deeply that my great grandchildren will probably still have the debt. And anytime I ask people about this, it's just they have no answer for why or how it happened, and they don't know where to point the finger. I know who to point the fingers at, but you guys don't agree with that. That's all I know how to do is run my mouth. Sorry. We'll proceed.
Just like look at the way they breathe. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at the way they
I
breathe.
look at the same moment. I'm like, look, I don't know. But
Somebody's
I know.
laughing in the
It's not
background.
droid, obviously.
Even they realize this shit's crazy.
We'll be back on Monday.
She get 5K more live views than you. So how is this the end? Does Candace Owens get 250 live? Like what would it be like? So I get like, let's say 40, 50K viewers, right? Does that mean that she gets like 200 and like, there's no way she gets that many, right?
Asmon, really, I've been on some of her live streams before, and I've seen her pull 150,000 live viewers on YouTube. That's just the truth. It's the truth.
How many people watch her? Like, how many views does she get on YouTube?
A lot of people watch
There's got
her.
to be like a channel they upload because she's uploading each video has a lot of views, but there's a very, very slow frequency of videos, so it's harder for me to gauge. But she is popular. I'm not saying that she isn't popular. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that again, this definitely broke her. It did. It broke her. Like it did. And if people don't want to see it, she's incredible.
She was already like this. That's what y'all ain't understanding. Like Candace has been like this for a while.
Popular she is. But if y'all think that this interview did not do damage and this interview did not have anything, it did not
Maybe
do
a little.
anything, I think that you are out of your mind. Wow. She done? I mean, to be fair, Aleister Crowley did try to join an organization because they could cast spells and shit, and it was a secret organization, and he did do that. But as far as I know, he didn't cast any spells. And
First of all, how would you know that? Are you being facetious, dude? How would you know? How would you know if he did or didn't? He thought that he communicated with an alien. I'm 1,000% sure it was a demon.
whenever he got a lot older, that was try. Well, yeah, he tried to do it. I mean, of course, like he was into, I think he went to like Oxford or something like that. He was a British guy. And, he did that. He did doing it. Yeah, no, he said he casted spells, but I never saw one. We never saw a spell like that he did. Like, and, so no, he went in on it. Like he was in on it for a while.
You wouldn't know.
Demons are real. So at the same time that they're summoning demons, they are making us all believe that faith is not real. I think the greatest.
So they want, just real quick, I'm going to just take this back just so we can just make sure we put all this in context real quick. One more again.
And demons are real. So at the same time that they're souls, they were all Aleister Crowley proteges who were just kids and summoning demons, and demons are real. So at the same time that they're summoning demons, they are making us all believe that faith is not real. And that has been, I think, the greatest.
Which, by the way, doesn't even logically make sense. Even if you can summon demons from an alternate universe, that doesn't mean that God's real.
What? That doesn't mean.
My brain hurts!
Then how do they exist? Did they just form out of thin air like you think we did? Seriously, none of this makes sense. None of it. Our existence does not make sense without an intelligent, sovereign, all-seeing, all-knowing creator. You get what I'm trying to say? It doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. Scripture tells us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We were purposely made by an intelligent creator. Not just an intelligent creator, but an all-powerful creator. He is the Alpha and Omega. This has always been one of my arguments. When you can go outside and you can just go examine a tree, and you can look at its root system and look at the bark, take a leaf off of one of the limbs and look at how perfect it is. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Look at it under a microscope, or look at the human body and how everything works together perfectly for most people. And it's so cohesive for most of us when we're born. It's preposterous to think that it would be happenstance, coincidence. Something exploded and then we evolved out of a tadpole. That does not make sense. Doesn't make sense. I believe evolution is real, but only to the extent that the animals that are in us too, that currently exist, actually do evolve. Like their species over time does begin evolving. But as far as evolution from the beginning, no, you would have to have something to evolve from. If you're saying that it came out of nothing, then where did that nothing come from? You see what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. Speaking of that, if you have not heard Louis Giglio's sermon about the universe, about the universe, and it's called How Great Is Our God, just stop what you're doing and go watch it. It is powerful. It is one of the most powerful sermons. I've got the DVD. It's amazing. The first time I watched it was whenever I was in college, 12, 13 years ago. He explains creation all the way down to the molecular level, then expands it out toward the size of the planets, the suns, and the stars, of the cosmos. And he makes it make perfect sense, the way that God works. And I think that's one of the core issues with non-believers. They can't only grasp how we got here, but they can't even grasp eternity. None of us can really grasp eternity, right? Eternity is eternity. It's forever. We can't grasp that, but they cannot fathom not being in this body. That's a thing that they struggle with. And I understand that, because I think a lot of us do struggle with that. What it'll be like, none of us know until we take our last breath. None of us will know. And let me just say this one last thing about Asmon, okay? He cannot see outside of his bubble, because although he doesn't claim either side, he lives 90% of his life online. 90% of his life is lived online. That's fact check. And people's arrogance. I'm not saying he's arrogant about this. I'm saying that he is rooted in his belief that he genuinely does not believe that God exists. And I believe that that's sad. That is a type of arrogance, to be so certain that God isn't real. People's arrogance and being intentionally obtuse is exhausting, even for him. A large portion of people who are online act this way. Everybody thinks they know everything. And here I am yapping and giving my opinions and stuff, but I don't know everything. Like, I am flawed. I do not know everything. I will never know everything. Now I am rooted in a lot of my opinions, and especially my beliefs. I am who I am. People are very arrogant and they think that they know it all. That was prophesied, that people would act like they knew everything, but knowledge would abound, knowledge would increase, and that people's hearts would wax cold. Let me read that verse. Now, the beginning of this chapter of Daniel, this is chapter 12. This is talking about the end times. I'm going to go ahead and read it. At that time shall arise Michael, the great prince, who has charge of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never been since there was a nation till that time. But at that time your people shall be delivered, every one whose name shall be found written in the book, and many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. The dead will rise in Christ, right? Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the sky above, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro. What is happening today? It's constant. It's just to and fro, to and fro. That's all we do. The world has gotten so fast. And knowledge shall increase. This last verse I want to read you guys, Matthew 24, in verse 12. It says, and because lawlessness will be increased. What has happened? The world has gone mad, y'all. The love of many will grow cold, but the one who endures to the end will be saved. And the gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed through the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So many people today are so full of themselves and so self-righteous, and they literally worship themselves. They worship themselves as God. I'm not saying that's what Asmon is doing. I'm saying that his beliefs, or the lack thereof, the lack of faith that he has, it can blind you. I know somebody personally in my life. They're no longer in my life anymore. But they were so rooted. It's like their feet was stuck in concrete. when it came to not believing in God at all. And we had a few discussions about it. And there were plenty of things that they couldn't answer that I would ask them. I really genuinely pray for Asmon. I pray that he comes to Christ. I pray that a revelation will happen, that the Holy Spirit will fall over him, that he will wake up, that the wool will fall from his eyes, and that he will wake up and see that the end is drawing near. It's drawing nearer every day. And none of us get out of this place alive. None of us. But when it comes to Candace, I don't trust her. I don't trust anything I don't trust anybody, but everybody's twisting what she's saying. My ultimate conclusion of all of this is Candace isn't crazy. She's been saying things like this for a while. And people want to say, oh, well, she didn't come out as a conservative or this and that until whenever it was, or, she didn't come out as a Christian until whenever. Look, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that she's controlled opposition, that she's a plant, just like all these other conservative influencers that are plants. You can't tell me otherwise. There are too many that are on the Maga train that are just going to ride the train off a cliff. I said that in the last video that I did about Moist and that I did about Charlie and Asmon. None of them grew organically. Let me just say it that way. I'm not going to say that they are full-blown plants, but none of them grew their channels organically, at least to my knowledge, because a lot of them are attached to the same agencies. Brandon Tatum. Now, Mark Dice might have done his organically. I don't remember, but I do know that he was very anti-establishment, anti-politician, anti-left-right paradigm until the big dog got in office. And that was whenever he just cashed in all his chips and he said, all my money on Orange. And now you guys can't answer for any of that. Anybody tries to have a conversation with you, you've got TDF. That's not an argument. Explain to me why he's okay with the red flag laws. Explain to me why he was okay with the jab. Why he thinks that people in the government actually did a good job during that time whenever he was in office. Explain to me why he's totally fine taking boosters. Explain to me why he won't release the files. He's not going to. He still has to answer to someone, no matter what you believe. And it's so sad because so many people believed that he was going to be different. And it's not that I believed he was going to be different. I didn't think he would be. I voted for him out of pure survival. I said that before. I will criticize all of them. I'm on Rand Paul's side for a lot of things. There's a lot of things that him and his dad have done and said and advocated for that line up with my beliefs. Now, Trump has been very outspoken the past few days about Bibi, about how he needed to get his act together and all that. But I still hold the same opinion when it comes to that because we're still sending billions of dollars over there. I am like Valhalla, Nate over at Valhalla BFT. Cut everybody off. Those billions of dollars could be used here at home to take care of our homeless, to take care of our veterans, to take care of kids that need it. There's so many people in this country that are struggling right now. There's a lot of people. And it makes me sick to know that we're sending money elsewhere. And while people are literally starving here and need help. So it's pretty terrible. Those of you who are Christians who are watching this, let me ask you a question. How do you think the tribulation is going to play out? Really? I mean, how do you think that the AC is going to take center stage, causing millions, even possibly billions of people to be deceived? This is from Matthew 24, verse 3. As he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered them, "See that no one leads you astray. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead many astray. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of birth pains. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation, and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and lead many astray." He said that twice, y'all. He said it twice. Whenever Jesus emphasizes something, you need to listen. You need to listen to his words anyway, but whenever he is emphasizing something, you need to listen. And many false prophets will rise and lead many astray. And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations. And then the end will come. You can be deceived. Anyone, according to Jesus, that doesn't have the Holy Spirit and doesn't have a solid relationship with Christ, you will be deceived. Like I said, millions, maybe even billions of people will be deceived. So now let me ask you something else. If the deception is so great when the end comes, yet you can't see the smaller deceptions that are happening now, what makes you think you'll be ready then? This is 2 Thessalonians 2:9. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing, because they refuse to love the truth and be saved. Therefore, God sends them a strong delusion. God sends them a strong delusion so that they may believe what is false, in order that they all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. What they're saying here is that because you didn't believe in Jesus, you're going to be deceived. That's the way I'm interpreting this verse. My point is, if you can't even recognize the smaller deceptions that are happening today, how do you expect to have the spiritual discernment to not be deceived once things kick off during the tribulation? Because it's coming, y'all. I don't think we're very far from it. Now, I want you guys to research what's on your screen, what I'm about to put on your screen, because I'm not going to say them, because I know that they'll pump my channel off into the shadow realm. So I'm just going to put it on the screen, okay? This is what I would call the Deception Starter Pack. Yeah, these were all projects and ops that I got acquainted with years ago. And that last one, I actually want to show you a picture of Charlie and Candace.
Charlie had him on his show. Cash Patel should be the FBI director. He fought for that. Look how Cash Patel is acting, right? 33 hours. Wink, wink. Freemasons. Wink, wink, wink. Oh, Tyler Robinson's file adds up to 33. Oh, the Freemason Lodge in St. George or in Utah is number 33. It's like, we get it.
Which is why I don't trust anyone. I don't. At this point, I don't. This is why I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anyone. Barely my own family. I trust in God alone and in Christ alone. Psalm 146:3, put not your trust in princes, in a son of man, in whom there is no salvation. When his breath departs, he returns to the earth. On that very day, his plans perish. We are flawed human beings, and we always let each other down. And whenever it comes to people in places of authority that hold positions of authority, whether that be someone sitting in the White House, or at the state capitol, or someone behind a computer screen that has a huge following, trust no one. Psalm 118:8. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in man. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in princes. And princes were what? Royalty, but they were in positions of authority. Micah 7:5-7. Put no trust in a neighbor. Have no confidence in a friend. Guard the doors of your mouth from her who lies in your arms. For the son treats the father with contempt. The daughter rises up against her mother. The daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house. But as for me, I will look to the Lord. I will wait for the God of my salvation. My God will hear me. Now, we have to take that in context, obviously, but in many places in the Bible, it says that we do not need to trust men because men are fallible, especially whenever you know that the devil runs the show. I'm not going to put my trust in people in high places whenever I know who their boss is. Now, a great place to learn some of the things that I showed you on the screen are over at Really Graceful's channel and Truthstream Media's channel, Melissa and her husband. They are amazing channels, and I've learned so much from them. You know, they focus on things like the history behind our banking systems, who runs them, who can make or break a country's entire economy and who world leaders actually take orders from, and they don't get caught up in the whole left versus right paradigm line like a lot of other creators do. Also, watch the video that I'm linking down in the description. It's from Julian Dorey's channel with Kurt Metzger. So much information in this video.
Like, yes, all the things that you like are psyops.
All of them?
Well, what do you think a psyop is?
Let's say the Beatles. All of them, though.
Let's say the Beatles were entirely their own steam doing it.
They were.
That's a psyop, even if it's on their behalf. A psyop is merely marketing the thing that's a regular thing that you would do normally if you were a band or anything. You would do PR and marketing.
But a psyop implies that it wouldn't naturally be able to do it itself without having a push for psychological reasons from the government to try to manipulate society.
Well, listen, you see the videos of chicks going when you see the Beatles. Okay. Do you think the government, if they're not at the base of it from the beginning, do you think they wouldn't study that effect?
They cuss a lot in it, but I had to tolerate it because it's worth listening to for the valuable info that they share in it. My entire point is it's a big club, and we ain't in it. You know, I've been saying the same things for years, but most of the issue with people like me and Candace both is that the left hates us and the right hates us. They both hate us because we don't play the political paradigm game. At least she doesn't publicly that I know of. But with me, what you see is what you get. So, funny story. The very first comment I got on my channel, you know what it was? You know what it was? The very first comment that I got on my channel that wasn't from my friends or family, you know what it said? TDS alert. Great. I laughed my head off because you already know it was probably like this 15-year-old edgelord that is desperately waiting for GTA 6 to come out. Pretty sure he had a Mortal Kombat like profile picture, so if he's an adult, he's definitely single. Yeah. Look, I'm only teasing, guy. I'm teasing. Look, y'all can poke fun at me, too. You know, it's all in good fun. I'm a fan of self-deprecating humor. You can make fun of me, flame me, roast me, all you wish. I just don't be blatantly disrespectful or insulting or toxic. I'm not going to tolerate that kind of stuff because there is a difference. I am a Christian, but I'm not above joking. I'm going to be myself on this channel, regardless of being a Christian. Like, this is me. This is who I am. I like joking around. Everybody can flame me all they want. But for the record, I'm not even remotely similar to anyone on the left, like Hassan or Cenk Uygur or a blue-haired, hygiene-hating, bold-ring-wearing, bigot, fascist, LGBT, LMNOP, screaming lefties who swears that our president is a fascist dictator who wants to rule us all. So, you know, that's just not who I am. In all seriousness, those people, they desperately need Jesus. And I just pray that they're not beyond help, that they aren't a part of the people that the Lord gave over to a reprobate mind. I just think that they're all corrupt. That's how I think. That's how I feel, even after voting 3 times for hombre naranjo. Sidebar, okay. I know I've been doing nothing but ranting in this video. Don't you just love it whenever, and you can tell that these are boomers that leave comments on your channel. They're the type that will say something like, what makes you think that you have the authority to speak on such things? Or they'll say something like, what makes you qualified to talk about that? You're not a licensed therapist. They act like I'm supposed to have like a PhD to react to a YouTube video of a mainstream psychologist who probably worships the devil.
Question, is this a mechanical question or is there deeper, like, I don't really know that I fully know where this guy is, where he thinks about money, how much he actually makes, how much he owes. I don't know this guy.
I'm only kidding. He's not really mainstream. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're the ones who think that you can't criticize LeBron James's last basketball game unless you're an actual NBA player yourself. Those type of people. Yeah, I'm not really sure why a lot of boomers actually have that mentality. Maybe it's because they think that they're the sole authority on whatever they're educated in themselves. I don't know. And I think it just burns them up to see just this little old Tennessee girl flapping her gums on the internets. You can do exactly what I'm doing. I'm nobody special. You can do exactly what I'm doing and put out your opinions online. I'm getting views. I'm not even that smart, okay? Like, in a lot of aspects, I'm just a dummy. I'm just a country girl. At least I admit it. I'm not some intellectual. That's okay. But sure, I have my opinions just like everybody else. And I guess what makes me qualified is I have a camera, I have a microphone, and you don't. A live experience, we can't forget that. a 21-year-old daughter, a couple of failed relationships with men who couldn't get their act together. We were incompatible in every way, so just kind of how it goes. But I have a successful marriage. We just celebrated 9 years together. I also lost a child in the womb. I've been through plenty of heartache and tragedy and loss in my life. Both my parents actually ended up in the hospital at the same time during the beer bug, and only one of them come out. I thank God that she was able to come home, but she didn't get to bury her husband. She was in the hospital still whenever we buried him. So, that was tough, which meant that everything was left up to me. And I was an addict for 8 years, been sober for almost 10. So, I blew all of my 20s. So yeah, I've made plenty of mistakes. I've had to learn the hard way in a lot of cases, but the good Lord delivered me from it all, y'all. But I've seen some stuff. Let's just say that I've seen some stuff. My belief system is solely rooted in God's word, though. 100% of my belief structure is from the Bible, point blank, period. If you're planning on sticking around and becoming a long-term subscriber, that would really help me out. But this next bit is important. It's for the people that are going to stick around, and I really hope you do. Yes, I am a Christian, and I am still learning, and I'm growing every day. But I'm not intelligent enough to get into deep theological discussions or debates with people like the PragerU style discussions or debates. I'm just not smart enough for that. My intellect is just not there. My memory is just not there. It's not the gift that God gave me. He gave me the gift of gab. That's pretty much it. So many other people on this platform, on YouTube, that do it 100 times better than I ever could. Channels like Mike Winger, Nick Jones, Isaiah Robin and GB Studios, Supernatural Testimony, Dennis Garcia. I don't know how to, I'm sorry, dude. If I just butchered that, I'm sorry. And Bryce Crawford, who, by the way, he's awesome. He's a courageous young man. He's very bold in his faith. He's quite young, and we need far more of the younger generations to spread the gospel. That's what we need. We need Gen Z and Gen Alpha now to come up and actually teach the gospel to people. Because if you didn't know, the vast majority of adolescents that grow up in Christian homes usually depart from it after high school. The vast majority. It's an overwhelming percentage. We need to change that. And by getting younger people involved, like Bryce, I think we can change that, and Dennis too. Of course, I'll be presenting scripture just like I did in this very video to steel man my positions and opinions, but as far as dedicating my entire channel, I won't be good at it. The channels that I named are light years better than I could ever be at proving or disproving principles the world presents against Christianity. And being that my brain has a lot of healing to do, yeah, that's not going to happen anytime soon. It's like the lights are on, but the hamster has fallen off the wheel. The whole Candace thing, I don't care. Like, people are going to say the same things about me. Like, if my channel ever gets off the ground, it probably will a little bit. That's fine. I've got thick skin. You can criticize me. Constructive criticism is fine. I'm good with that. If you want to have a discussion, I ask that you keep things respectful and civil, and we can talk. We can have a discussion. You can make fun of me. Like, we can do it in jest, and, you can roast me like people do Queso. I love him. He's so funny. I'm just not going to tolerate BS in my comments. So anyway, guys, stick around. I'm telling you, my audio is going to get better. My mic is, I promise you, I'm going to do something. I'm going to have to either get a new mic or try a mixer. I'm going to get a new camera. My editing skills are going to be better. I'm telling you, there's so much promise for my channel. Anyway, I hope you stick around because I've got so much planned for this channel. I cannot wait. It's going to be so good. It's late. I'm sorry. The monkey in me always comes out. It won't happen again. I know I'm lame. I'm really corny. I'm lame. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm really cringe. All right. I'm out of here. Love you.